chickens are noisy, dirty, and no matter how hard you try, they are in no way sanitary, as written in number 6 of Ms. Fetty's ordinance. Poop is poop. I'm here to tell you that the dark side of owning chickens is being overlooked and ignored by every city that allows backyard chicken coops, and that is public safety. On September 24, 2015, the CDC reported 252 cases of salmonella in 43 states directly linked to backyard chickens. And of those 252 cases reported, 63 people were hospitalized. Luckily, no one died. Ironically, Ohio had 26 cases, which was the highest in the nation of these outbreaks directly related to backyard coops. Kentucky had 5, which made it 16th. The outbreak involved only 4 different strains of the salmonella bacteria. But let's talk about 2016. From January 2016 to September 26, 2016, there were 895 reported cases in 48 states, again, directly linked to backyard chickens. This is a 350% increase.
Laura, can you wrap it up in about 30 seconds?
I'll talk fast, or I can save it for March. Okay. 254, 28%, were children under the age of 5. 209 were hospitalized, and 3 people died. At the time, Kentucky ranked 4th in the nation of salmonella outbreaks. Ohio was 2nd. There were a record-setting 8 different strains of the salmonella bacteria. The second concern involves predation. Most backyard chicken owners will tell you that they love their chickens, but even more will tell you the one thing they hate are the dogs, coyotes, foxes, snakes, possums, rats, raccoons. And no matter how protective your coop is, the smell of the chickens and the manure will bring in predators. While the neighborhood dog is vaccinated against rabies, these animals are not, nor do they recognize property lines.
Hope to bring it back next month.
Glad to.
All right.
Would you like the copy of the CDC report on the cases of salmonella that I have?
Sure.
Yes.
I would like for Jessica. Jessica should have that.
Yeah, we'll share that with her.
Well, you can go to the website. They take them back several years. It's just this explosion in 2016 that was so.
All right, next up we've got Mary Greenwell.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of Erlanger Council. I am a resident here in Erlanger. This is my first council meeting.
Welcome.
I don't have anything fancy written down or numbers or anything of that sort. I would like to address the woman that had talked right before me because I didn't know how I was going to start this. And I'd like to respond of all of our natural habitat pets that will be in any city, any community. That would be your average birds that we all love to feed. They're known to carry diseases at any time, so we cannot constrict on that. I'd like to also add of our squirrels, another natural habitat, and many people, believe me, in Erlanger, Kentucky, love our squirrels. They are a cousin to your average rat. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people call them tree rats, but they are fed regardless. I'd also like to bring up our gardens, because many people love to have tomato gardens, small gardens. Now, to have these and be permitted to have these in our yards as residents, I'm a little nervous, but they can draw many rodents. They can, your average garden, rabbits, raccoons. As far as coyotes, foxes go in this matter, if they're hungry, they'll eat a squirrel that you feed in your backyard, they'll eat on a rabbit in your backyard. So my question is, where does this end? I grew up on a bit of a farm myself. We had more than 6 chickens. 6 chickens, if they're penned properly, if the fence is high enough. The part is, how can we resolve it and make everybody happy? If it's a 50 feet matter from a 500 feet matter, you would want to talk to the people who live near you. And you would want to contract with your neighbors, because you wouldn't want to offend nobody to begin with. Have a contract, have your neighbors sign it. If you're all in agreement with it, go ahead. As far as maintenance, I'm sure there are restrictions to follow those restrictions. As far as with any other airborne illness of any kind, let your chickens be tested for diseases and such to keep it at bay. To me, it comes down to common sense. And like I said, this is
Got about
my first
15
council meeting.
seconds.
Okay. Oh, and maybe we should do away with lights, city lights, because they like to, the bugs at night like to fly around the city lights, and then you have your bat problem. And you might want to check out your rabies with your bats in the state of Kentucky. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mary. All right, then we have Mr. Greg Greenwell. All right, thank you. All right, that's the last of the people who had signed up to speak. Is there anybody else that wanted to say something this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, next we've got bids. Mrs. Hoffman, Mr. Biox, are there any bids to review this evening? Any old business? Does anybody have any old business to review? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business to?
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, Mr. Burke.
I would like, we pushed the chicken meeting to the 1st of March. I would like to ask Joe, are you still here, Joe? A week before next month's meeting, put whatever you have so far for the second and third questions. The first 2 are just your name and address, so third and fourth, and send it to everybody so they can get a look at it a week before.
That's a good idea.
We come back. Thank you, Joe.
Is the survey closed now?
No, it's still going on.
Still open, okay.
Just up to that date,
Wait a minute.
and
Okay.
we'll see what it's.
Great, thank you.
Mayor.
Good idea.
We also need their addresses because I've seen several unofficial surveys on Facebook, and there are some people who belong to homeowners associations that are voting, and I don't think that.
Well, he's got them all. Joe's got the addresses and all that. I just
Because,
didn't know
I mean,
if
they're
we
not going to
needed
be
to-
affected by this, whereas the rest of us poor souls. And this wasn't brought up tonight, but I still say your home values, you're going to see a decrease. I don't care what anybody says, it's going to happen.
All right.
The coops are not going to look nice.
Mr. Cahill, I saw another hand up back there,
That
sorry.
was exactly what I was going to say.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mrs. Spitz?
This isn't about chickens.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank you.
Yay.
Yes.
Tom Cahill and I would like to bring back the Clean Up Erlanger Committee. We haven't met in almost a year, and we'd like to get back to our regular meetings with Frank and Kim and the codes officers, if that's okay.
Okay, and then, so who is that comprised of? Is it just the two?
Just
Okay.
Yes, just Tom and I.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. For some reason, in the back of my head, I'm thinking that we changed the name from something else. Was there another committee that?
Revitalization.
Oh, yeah, and we just took that off.
Yeah,
completely. So, okay, great, good idea.
Thank you.
All right, so we move on to legislation. First one is an ordinance regarding the amended code. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Something under new business.
Okay.
I just wanted to invite everybody to the Yellen for Helen Bowl Marathon at the Super Bowl on March the 25th. How much have you raised so far, Frank?
Yes, thank you.
How much have you raised?
Wow.
One family.
Wow.
In memory of the mom.
Wow.
You've never been. It's a blast, whether you bowl or not.
All right, so we've got, the first one up here is an ordinance regarding the amended code enforcement, first reading.
First of all, Patty, thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, amending Erlanger Ordinance Number 2443 by identifying additional occurrences prohibited thereby by summary and really by explanation. The 2015 House Bill 422 required some procedural changes in the manner in which we enforced our property maintenance codes. We prepared those ordinances. 2443 was one of them, and what it did is identified as regulations the same regulations that existed before House Bill 422 that was enforced by the codes enforcement officers. Objective, of course, was to put us in the same position after the legislation as we were before the legislation. And it listed a number of property regulations. Unfortunately, the amending ordinance inadvertently omitted 9 of them. The purpose of this ordinance is to add those 9 back into the regulations that can be enforced by the code enforcement officers. Those 9 are identified and underlined at paragraphs 2.17 through 2.25 of the attachment to the ordinance. So that's the explanation and the summary.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll let the record show that we've had the first reading this evening. Next, we've got a municipal order regarding surplus property.
So municipal order number 02-07-17-01, a municipal order of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city. Attached are the 2 items that are being disposed of: a 2009 GMC truck from the Public Works Department, a 2007 GMC truck from the Public Works Department. Reason for disposal is age and condition, and the disposal method is by trade.
All right, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this municipal order as read? Motion by Mrs. Pitts, second by Mrs. Skidmore. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we've got a municipal order regarding the Municipal Government League appointments.
It's municipal order number 02-07-17-02, a municipal order of the City Council of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, approving the appointment of Mayor Tyson Hermes as the principal representative of the city to the Municipal Government League of Northern Kentucky. It's a mouthful. And Councilmember Corinne Pitts is the alternate.
All right, do I entertain a motion that we accept? Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mrs. Sudkamp. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Yeah. All right, with that then, do I entertain a motion that we adjourn? Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mrs. Skidmore. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned.